Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again. We're going to go to Grand Rapids in Michigan, which some of you might happen to know is home to Founders Brewing Company, probably one of the better known American craft breweries these days. So for this one we are having a taste of their Azacca IPA. This one is a single hopped IPA, obviously with the Azacca hop, which is one that you don't come across too often, but it does seem to be coming more and more frequently in IPAs and things like this, so it should be really interesting to try it on its own and see how it comes out. Definitely looking forward to this one. This one of course was another one of the small partier beers that I got from Systembolaget here in Sweden, so definitely looking forward to this one. It's always cool to try new beers from Founders, and I hope you guys enjoy the review as well. So anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Founders before. No doubt I'll add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for before, and that's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review, especially those of you watching in Michigan, because I know there's quite a few different breweries up there, so hopefully I can visit some more of them for you in the fairly near future. But always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Founders Brewing Company then. So this brewery was originally founded in 1997 as the Canal Street Brewing Company in Grand Rapids in Michigan by Mike Stevens and David Engbers, but the two were actually home brewing enthusiasts, and at this point they'd only recently graduated from university, and both of them had really quite steady jobs, but they decided they wanted to follow their passion for beer. They drew up a business plan, took out hefty loans from the banks and quit their jobs. So in the 1800s, several breweries had operated in this Canal Street area of Grand Rapids, and this area apparently is now called Monroe Avenue, but the original labels on the Canal Street Brewing beers were black and white photos of the original Canal Street breweries with the word Founders above it, and this really meant that the brewery became known kind of colloquially as Founders Brewing Company, and then they later changed the name officially, of course. But since the mid-2000s, the brewery had grown substantially, and they now produce over 340,000 barrels of beer per year, and their market's constantly growing. They apparently struggled in the very early days of the brewery because they were producing kind of, fairly ordinary beers, and then they had a kind of radical rethink of the way they were actually brewing their beers, and they've now gone on to be probably one of the strongest craft breweries that you're going to find in America. One of the best known ones outside of America, actually. This is a very widely exported brewery these days. But they also have a tap room at the brewery which overlooks the brewing facilities, and so this means that customers can see the whole of the brewing process going on with all the different stages. They also throw an annual festival which is called Founders Fest in the street outside of the brewery, and the street is closed down, and they have lots of local food vendors, live music, of course beer bars and all of this sort of thing. So if you find yourself in Grand Rapids in the summer, then Founders Fest could be a place for you to actually get into. So yeah, that's enough about the brewery just now. As I said, check out the links to my other Founders reviews in the description below. You can always have a look at the website if you want to learn more about the company and all the different beers that they do. They're quite a prolific brewery. They've got a whole load of different seasonal beers. They have their core range, of course. I need to review more of the core range actually, because it's more of the special beers that I tend to review from these guys, but they produce some really awesome stuff, and if you haven't tried Founders Brewery already, then it really is one that you want to have a look at. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So I have a little bit about the Azacca hop as well, because this is one that you don't come across all that often. So this is actually a hop from America. It's named after the Haitian god of agriculture, and it's descended from the Toyo Midori Summit hop from Japan and the Northern Brew, which I believe is also an American hop, and it's supposed to be a nice kind of fruity and piney one, this, so it should be really interesting to try it on its own. So this beer comes in at 7% ABV. I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. There we are. So there you can see it's got a kind of psychedelic style of artwork on it there. It's really quite nice, sort of Led Zeppelin style or something like that. The sort of, I don't know if it's a Tree of Life or cherries or something, but I do like the artwork on this one. The label's got a little ding, of course, when I've brought it home, but there you can see on the top label, there's the Founders symbol. That, of course, is on the bottle cap as well, but really nicely presented, this one. I've told you a little bit about the hop, and I think this beer was available from January to April, usually, with Founders, so if you get the chance to try this one, it is one of the seasonal beers, so pick it up while it's available. But yeah, without further ado then, let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting then. There we are. Yeah, so a nice smoky opening on this beer as we open it up, and you can smell some of the nice fruity characters in this beer. It's got a bit of a kind of tangerine thing going on actually. A little bit of fluff on the top of my glass there. But yeah, that's a really nice looking beer. We'll just leave the rest of it in the bottle just now. But as you can see, that's poured a really nice kind of it reminds me of Iron Brew a little bit. It's like a dark Iron Brew, but it's fair to say that's a fairly rich kind of amber golden colour. The beer's actually crystal clear. If you look at that, if I put my fingers behind the glass there, it really is quite a crystal clear beer. The head on this one is a kind of creamy colour. It's got a slight kind of cream tinge to it. It's a solid finger ahead on this one. Quite a few little bubbles just going up towards the bottom of the head there, but overall it does look like a very nice beer. I think it's fair to say that it's probably fair to describe this beer as being a sort of coppery amber colour. But it looks very, very nice, and just moving the beer around in front of me, I can smell some of the nice kind of fruity notes off this one. As I said, it's a single hopped beer, and I think they said on the website that it uses caramel. They didn't actually list the full specs of the beer, and that tends to be the case with a lot of the Founders beers. Oh yeah, that's really quite nice. So with this one, you can smell the nice malty backbone to this. You know, there's a little bit of caramel in there, maybe a teeny bit toasted. There's a sort of biscuity kind of grainy thing going on. Maybe a little bit of breadiness, a sort of slight brown breadiness, I would say. But of course, the focus on this one is one that you want to have it on the hops. And it's interesting, you know, there's a little bit of a sort of tangerine kind of orangey thing coming out of this one. Yeah, it's actually a very mild smelling hop, this actually. It's not too punchy on the hoppy side of the aroma. There's a little bit of sort of herbal and grassy kind of character coming out of this beer. Maybe even a little bit earthy, to be honest with you. But there is a definite bit of fruitiness there. It's nowhere near as punchy as some of the other American hops that I've come across, or even the New Zealand hops actually. Yeah, but I think there is a little bit of a tangerine, orangey character to this one. I think it's leaning more towards the tangerine side of things. And it's got a little bit of a sort of peary or apple aroma as well. You're getting those kind of estery notes off this one. You can pick up like a little bit of mango or pineapple or something in there as well. There is a little bit of tropical fruit, but for me it really leans towards the orangey side of things in the beginning, and then it just progresses on to these nice kind of lighter peary apple type things. But really quite interesting smelling beer, this one. So if you get the chance to try this, or just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma, because as I say, this is a hop I think that's going to become more and more prominent over time. I think I've had one beer with this hop in it before I've tried this one, so I need to seek out a few more that have it in the brew and just really appreciate what it's all about. But this is a single hop beer, and as I always say with reviews, you're always learning about new hops and new malts and things like this, so it is really cool to try things like this and educate yourself when something new becomes available. But let's get stuck into this beer then. So this one is the Azacca IPA from Founders Brewing Company over in Grand Rapids in Michigan. Skål. That's quite nice, you know. It's, again, as you always get with Founders, it's a really quite well balanced beer, this one. Yeah, it's quite interesting this hop. I think it said on the website that it was 70 IBUs this beer had, so it's not going to blow your head in terms of bitterness or anything like that. And it's got, the first thing you're going to notice about this beer, the thing that I'm getting, when it progresses into the aftertaste, you've got this nice biscuity character there. You've got a bit of slightly toasted caramel just on top of this kind of pale malt, slightly bready kind of thing in the middle of your palate there. So that's just sitting there really quite nicely. It's maybe even a little bit of a brown bread thing. There is a slightly cereally element to this beer, some sweeter biscuits and a bit of richer caramel as well. But it does come across as quite well balanced. This is by no means one of the big hoppy bitter beasts that you can get from Founders. It's more of an easy drinking sort of IPA, this beer. And I guess they've done this one just because they like the hop, and it does actually have some really quite nice and interesting characteristics from what I'm picking up. It really is kind of interesting. I'm getting a teeny little bit of earthiness just in the back corners of my palate, but as you come further forward, it's interesting with this one because you can feel a little bit of the slightly piney resinous character just underpinning the beer, but on top of that, it's more floral, and there's a little bit of herbal flavour in there too, but definitely as you go round the front curve of the tongue, it does lean towards the grassy side of things. So it's just interesting, the way the slightly resinous character underpins it, but then it becomes more kind of floral aromatic and kind of herbal is really interesting with this. I love just trying new hops on their own, and this one really is quite nice. But the fruity side of the beer is interesting too. So as I always say, when it comes to the fruity esters, these will always come out a little bit just behind the front curve of your palate there. So just feel that little oily bubble, and then these fruity esters come out on it. This one for me is an orangey sort of tangerine flavour that's coming out of this hop. Definitely, I think it really leans towards that. As you progress later into the aftertaste, you know, there's a sort of slightly appley and slightly pear kind of flavour coming out of this one. There is a little bit of some other kind of tropical fruit in there as well, but that's really not that prominent in the grand scheme of the flavour of this beer. For me, it really is more of a kind of tangerine orange that's coming off this one. You know, it really does remind me of that. I mean, the big orangey hops, of course, you've got Mosaic and Amarillo from America. Then you also have Pacifica, if I'm remembering the name rightly, from New Zealand. Those are the big sort of orangey flavour hops. So it's cool to find another one that does give you these nice orangey flavours. That's one thing I would always want to try as a homebrewer, is those 4 hops. Put them together and get a really big beast of an orange flavour IPA. I really love orange flavour in beers. And this one's interesting for me just because it's fair enough to say with this beer, it really is sort of easy drinking kind of thing in this one. But really it's definitely more of an orangey leaning hop for me, this one, and it does have these kind of apple peary things on the end. There is a little hint of some other kind of tropical fruits in there, these lighter things. A sort of lighter feel to it as well. I mean, you can pick up a little bit of maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit, tiny bit of mango or something like that, maybe a bit of pineapple as well, but those are very, very weak in comparison to the sort of to the orangey flavours. There's maybe a little bit of papaya or something coming out of this one as well. I think there's maybe a tiny bit of papaya or apricots in there too. There is just a little bit of a light tropical note to this one too, but it definitely leans more towards the oranges for me, and then it's apple and peary type esters at the end. I think it's more mango and pineapple. My first instinct was to say mango and pineapple with that, but there could be a sort of apricot or papaya element in there as well. Yeah, oranges at the start, then a little bit of mango and sort of apricot-y papaya kind of thing. I think that's definitely the way to describe this hop. But it really is quite nice. I'd love to see how this kind of adds to some of the complexity with the beers. I think that hop will end up kind of blending very well with the likes of Mosaic and Citra and things like that. It's got that nice lighter kind of tropical fruit note to it as well, but it does have the slightly punchier orange. So a really quite interesting hop when you think about this one, and it's a nicely balanced beer. It is easy drinking, so if you like trying new hops, you know, this one's quite an easy drinker, and it's always interesting to educate yourself in that way, but by no means is it one of these big beasts that you can get from Founders. It really is more of a kind of easygoing beer, this, but they do it very well. And that's the sign of a good brewery, of course. But yeah, really quite interesting beer, this one. As I say, I love trying these hops on their own. In terms of the mouthfeel of this beer, I'd say that this one, it's somewhere between light and mid-bodied. Carbonation is quite smooth on this, it's moderate. The mouthfeel is a little bit oily. It's got a good bit of sweetness from the malt base. It does have a little bit of kind of grainy character in there as well, so there's almost a little bit of spiciness to the beer. The hoppiness, there is a little bit of bitterness, but like I said, it's not going to blow your head in terms of IBUs. The hops come in just a little bitter, then they start to smooth out, and there is a little bit of juicy fruit in there as well. But for me, overall, it's a fairly solid beer. This is an easy drinking one. And as I said, the main point really about this beer is that you're trying a hop that you don't often find on its own, and it's quite an interesting one. If you like orange flavour, in your beers, then I think you're going to enjoy this one. And I think if you like the Mosaic and the Citra hop, you know, these hops that have a slightly punchier fruit to them, like for example the Citra has the mango, the Mosaic has the tangerine orange. This is quite similar, I think, in some ways to the Mosaic hop actually, so it's a really quite nice one. If you enjoy Mosaic single hopped beers, then I'm pretty sure you will enjoy this one, and I think this hop will become quite popular actually, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this was the Azacca IPA from Founders Brewing Company over in Grand Rapids in Michigan. Really interesting to try this one, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on it. So yeah, I'm sure I'll return to Founders Brewery in the fairly near future, but until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Do let me know your own thoughts on the hop as well actually, because that would be quite interesting to hear. But for me, this is another really quite solid, easy drinking IPA from Founders, and I'm sure I'll review more of their beers for you in the near future. So yeah, give this guy a try if you get the chance. So until the next time, it's Slangy just now, and I will catch you very soon. This was the Azacca IPA from Founders Brewing Company over in Grand Rapids in Michigan. Cheers.